Welcome to the Subvert Podcast, your entry into the land of no easy answers. Join us as we attempt to merge neuroscience and sock puppets to navigate the vagaries of the mind.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Subvert Podcast. I am Aaron Stewart, and this is the amazing Kristen Remore with me as always.
Hello.
And today we're bringing stuff back from the dead.
Back
from the dead.
Apparently Jurassic Park is about to become a very
Well, I'm glad
real thing.
I'm glad they're starting with woolly things instead of, scaly things.
Well, yeah, it makes it much easier to swallow if it's a nice fuzzy, oil,
when they're
fuzzy
stomping
animal.
all over your
Except not so fuzzy and cute and
Getting their
small, as it turns out.
tusks
but,
and stuff.
Before we get
Like we've
into
given
this,
it away.
though, let's go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Don't want to miss any of this good stuff.
You know you want to.
So today we are talking about the resurrection of the Wooly Mammoth. So Wooly Mammoth, of course, massive fucking, I guess they're most closely related to elephants now.
I think it was, basically, I would probably be the closest.
Most of you, I'm sure you've heard of a
living.
woolly mammoth before
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah,
but they have been extinct.
I would hope you've at least heard of.
If not, watch Ice Age.
Yeah, there you go.
Everything you need to know on woolly mammoths.
Watch the historical record as told by Ice Age, the movie. Yes, and the subsequent sequels, yes. How they got those cameras back to that day.
Man, I mean, yeah, the quality was just,
Oh, I tell you.
it was great, yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, so, and I mean, it's something that they, once we figured out DNA, there was something that had been kind of a sci-fi trope for a long time of,
Yeah.
bringing these things back, and now they're actually thinking they're going to do it.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, I think the thought process behind it is to actually reintroduce into the ecosystem, which is kind of going a bit haywire at the moment. So the woolly mammoth would create some balance, I suppose.
Well, I think it's mostly just an experiment in like as we are facing
playing
this,
God, as we like to
Well,
do.
the problem is that we've been playing God in the wrong direction all this time. We've been killing all these species off. There's supposed to be 1 million of them that are supposed to go extinct over the next 10 years or something silly. And so the idea that at some point in the future we might be able to bring some of them back is absolutely a noble, right? Like, let's try to fix this mistake that we made by allowing us to run rampant over their entire ecosystem, and see if there's some way that hopefully in the future, when, things are hopefully a little less, that we might be able to
let's not
bring
look
them
at
back.
what we did maybe to kill these things off. Let's just bring them back into the same environment
they're in
that
two
killed
different,
them
they're
in the
two
first
different
place.
silos of science, right? Like, one is destroying things, the other tries to bring them back. It's this, nary do they speak with each other. It's not really the people going like, hey, so if you could stop destroying, we wouldn't have to. Oh, shut up, man. Bunch of snowflakes. I got a button to push here. Shut up. And so again, like, I kind of feel it's one of those things that is unfortunately one of the pursuits of science that we do kind of have to go down, right? In that, unfortunately, because we have taken this, unfortunate stance.
I mean, but the thing is, we didn't cause the woolly mammoths to go extinct in the first place.
No,
that
true.
wasn't a human thing.
Well, again,
So,
I'm more just thinking of the ones that we
the
have
potential
now that we
once
could
we
use.
develop the
That's
technology.
exactly the technology behind
I
it.
agree with
is
you
something that could be used
100%.
for, yeah.
It's the odd thing to me to choose something that has been extinct for such a long time that wasn't from our doings, right? So it's something that naturally went extinct. So this is where it comes into the playing God part of it,
Yeah,
right?
which
This
I'm
is where
assuming
the
is part of
Jurassic
the
Park comes
experiment
in.
as well, where if they can do something from however many millions of years ago, then doing something from yesterday should be hopefully much easier,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm hoping that's kind of the point of the experiment, that they're starting there instead of starting with, like, the deer mouse or whatever, which was annihilated.
But wouldn't
last
it make
month.
more sense to start with something that's been more recently extinct? I don't understand
But again, like,
why.
the proof of the technology would be better served in something, so far-fetched that there's who would ever have conceived that we would ever actually, like, as far as this sci-fi thing that's been going on, like 50 years ago, who would have ever even conceived that this was something that we would have actually been able to have a grasp of today, that we might actually be in a position where we might actually be able to bring something back from the dead that died millions of years ago.
Yeah.
You know, let alone something 1,000, 100 years ago. Like, again, just this idea that this could be something that you know, propels this into something that we can actually use for our good, hopefully, as opposed to just being more destructive as usual. You know, but that, you know, we might actually have a chance to use this because it's now ignited itself into the public perception, because you started with Jurassic Park and everybody was just like, there's no way, right? Like, but no, it's actually, you know, and now we're actually in a position where, you know, and that because we have that image in our head of these dinosaurs coming back, that hopefully is something that, again, I'm assuming that's kind of they're like, yeah, let's do the woolly mammoth. It doesn't have teeth. Right?
Or that's just what they put out to the press. When really some eccentric millionaire is currently building an island as we speak.
Well, it'd
full
be,
of dinosaur embryos.
It'd be more the problem of like, oh, you didn't notice that like the teeth just disappeared in the record, right? Like they actually had like sharp pointy teeth and they didn't what are you talking about? They didn't eat grass. No, they ate people, man. That's how we killed them off, right? Like the woolly mammoths were actually what caused most of the you know, yeah. We had the record all wrong, man. Yeah, the tusks had like sawtooth blades on them that they just That's gonna be a fun puppet to make there. War mammoth. It's gonna be fun. Anyway. But this, you know, again, this the idea that, you know, it's something that hopefully, I mean, if you were to, again, you know, reincarnate some deer or whatever that went extinct 1,000 years ago, nobody gives a fuck, right? Like you bring back saber-toothed tigers, oh, everybody's gonna be, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's where, again, I'm hoping that the woolly mammoth was the compromise of, right? We don't want to bring back a killer dinosaur. We don't want to bring back, right? Like, let's find something cute and fuzzy that we could bring back. And I mean, this is where a baby woolly mammoth, like, just imagine what that's like. Just see the pictures of a baby woolly mammoth. Like, come on, that's gonna be so, right? Like, that is absolutely going to kickstart this thing where hopefully, right? Like,
yeah.
you know,
Well, let's get into kind of like the ethical side of it, because I think reading through the article, again, I'm not a scientist, but what they were saying is basically once they kind of like develop the embryo using, I think, mostly like elephant DNA plus recovered DNA, but they're going to use elephants to gestate and birth the new woolly mammoths. So we're getting into kind of like a little
hybrids
bit strange, right? So they're implanting, I think, the embryo into the elephant because it's the only thing that's going to be capable of, right?
Term.
But that's, I mean, is that strange or is that a good thing? I mean, and once we kind of cross that...
Did you want it in you, or where else were we going to like that's... I don't know where else we'd put a woolly mammoth embryo. I mean... I'm not carrying it. I don't know where you. I don't know where you can try, but I don't know where I'm going to put it. Yeah,
it just seems like a, you know, like right now it makes sense, but once we kind of start doing this, where does that? How far can we push that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's kind of like, oh shit, that's opening a whole can of worms here now, right? And suddenly it's like, well,
and then where does that technology go in the future, right? Like now, are we bringing specific people back? Are we bringing specific things back? Are we, right? Like, how far could we actually take that technology, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you died yesterday, could we resurrect you in a different?
Yeah. Oh, that too. I was just thinking that poor elephant that then gives birth and goes, what the fuck is this? It's going to be like, I swear, Steve, I swear the baby's yours. I don't know why it has wool.
Just gonna take a sip of my drink now, so I can shut
Everything's fine.
Shut my mouth for a second here.
Stop talking.
Do. Anyway, so woolly mammoths, you say?
Yes, and yeah, poor elephants that need to birth woolly mammoths that will have no attachment to it. Like, what does that do then for the I mean, we don't understand how animal minds work either, right? Like, what kind of toll is that going to take on the elephant world, potentially, where they're like, what the fuck, man? Did you see what just came out of jail over there? Guys, we are fucked.
What were those dudes doing back there?
I mean, we all knew she had a reputation, but God.
Jill's the one with the makeup smeared all over her face. Hey guys, how's it going?
There was that one night. I knew there were a few different guys, but I didn't know this was possible.
All right.
You tuned in for a talk about science and got really weird.
Well, you know, ethics
hookup culture.
of science becomes a murky subject and can pull into many different disciplines, like humor. Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where exactly that does go, right? Because, I mean, they're bringing mammoths back now, and then, you know, they got to bring something back that the mammoth eats, I guess, because mammoths are picky. I don't know.
Well, what do
They only eat human flesh. What? Who? Where?
We'll soon find out.
We've tried everything else. Yeah. And the scientists can't tell us because, you know, we brought the thing back. We thought it would be harmless. It's not. It's not harmless.
Well, and that's the weird thing of choosing something that we literally know nothing about because it was extinct before we were even alive, right?
Well,
So
maybe that's the exercise, is to bring back to find out. Like, that's another part of this equation is like, do our preconceived notions of what this thing did look like line up with what we might have come out of this elephant that we've now tasked with this this birth, right? You know, and then watching it grow, does it match our expectations for? And that, I think, might also be part of why they've chosen a woolly mammoth, because watching a woolly mammoth grow would be a lot different from watching, say, a raptor or a tyrannosaurus grow, right? Like, what the fuck are you going to feed a tyrannosaurus? Right? You know,
well, I think it's still equally irresponsible because we really don't know. We have an idea.
But again,
from
this
the
is
records,
for the science
but-
of it. I mean, like that one soul, I guess, of the woolly mammoth that we brought back, right? Like, to be able to watch that grow to maturity and then compare that to the skeletons and the record that we have,
Yeah.
would be invaluable data, right?
Well, it would, but in terms of, let's say, diet and things like that, they're bringing
Exactly.
it back on an assumption of this.
exactly.
But then what if it ends up, like, tearing out a whole part of, like, a valuable part of our current ecosystem that has only evolved because the woolly mammoth went extinct, right? It's like a whole house of cards that could just come tumbling down.
And now we
And
basically
then
have
it's
to
like,
build
oh,
a zoo.
fuck, woolly mammoths need this for survival, but we needed this to survive, and the woolly mammoths have now eaten that, so we're fucked.
And that one mammoth is now 1,000 mammoths. And you ever tried to herd mammoths anywhere? Maybe tried to build a zoo for the thing, and now it's all just... Yeah, you know, and now we gotta euthanize it because it's gotten out and found some cocaine or something. I don't know.
Well, maybe that's it. That's what woolly mammoth's drug of choice.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that would be the worst part. There's some natural plant that is like a catnip for them or something. That's just like, oh! Rampage mammoth! And now it's war mammoth with the saw tusks and the fang teeth and everything. Oh, going on a rampage. Ooh. This is a fun story. The embellishments on this have gotten very... Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I for one am all kind of for it, right? Unfortunately, I feel that this is going to be our only kind of insurance against our rampant destruction on this thing. It is hopefully a means of trying to turn those things back, right?
See, I'm not sure where I stand on it. I don't really have strong feelings one way or the other.
Wait till
I
you see
just
the
like
pictures.
to.
As soon as you see the
Cute
pictures
little
of
woolly
baby Woody,
mammoth.
right? Like,
And-
it's going to be so cute. Just so cute.
Yeah, I just try to weigh kind of all of it and ask the questions too, right? Like, should we, just because we can do this, should we be doing this? What does it all kind of mean? And then to get, you know, a little bit more philosophical and spiritual about it, is it even real, the thing we're bringing back? Because we're splicing DNA, right? We're taking and filling in gaps from other species to create the full DNA reconstruction of the woolly mammoth. And if we take that further and it starts going towards other animals, or like you said, if even to human beings, right? So when you kind of look at the concept of the soul, which I believe every living thing does have, that's not just human specific, can something that's been manufactured in such a way actually be real in that sense of having any sort of spiritual body to it? Right? Because part of what I consider that spiritual essence, it's the magic that's been infused into all of us from when we were born or created, or whatever
I
it is,
prefer
right?
animus. I think that's the term I'm going to go with from now
Sure,
on. Is the
yeah.
animus of life.
Yeah.
Right? Like that spark that started things.
Yeah, so if that animus or that little bit of magic that we can't explain is now we've manufactured something, it's kind of like, like a counterfeit copy sort of thing of where it can
Xerox.
look exactly the same, but it's not the real thing, right? And I'm not saying this is the case. It might not be. I'm just trying to weigh like all sides of this argument here, but that's a consideration for sure, right? And then if we're thinking that way, is it then ethical for us to be doing these things? Right? What kind of life are we giving to, yeah, they can exist and they can breathe, but if they don't have that animus, that spark, that spirit within, then,
Well, I mean,
what
if it's
kind of
alive,
life
it has
is
that. If it's alive, it has it, right? Like that's kind of the definition of like if it can look at you and there's something in there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's right.
Well, and I guess that's one of those things we won't know until it happens, right? But
And that's kind of the problem with a lot of this stuff, right? Like when they were testing like the atom bombs, they didn't know if it would create a black hole that would destroy the right
Yeah.
world as we know it, right? Like a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, does require that leap of faith, right?
Well, just gotta test it out,
Which for
yeah.
a scientific, from a scientific perspective, I mean, that's got to be just like, okay, I guess we're taking a leap of faith here, like, ha ha ha, ha suckers.
that'd be pretty
Right?
cool. That'd be like crack to scientists, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're fucking doing it.
Yeah, do it! A bunch of scientists like in a line with their lab coats. Do it, do it! Yeah, as he runs down with the, I've got the DNA. It's right here. Oh, smash! Do it again. Fuck. Okay. Oh, no. Yeah. We go off on these sidetracks. I tell you, it's fun.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and
I mean,
it's
it would throw a lot of things into question, though, because then if we're able to do that, if the thing is able to have life and spirit as we know it, well, then that's going to throw a lot of things out of whack for people, isn't it? If all of a sudden
Which
things
I
that we
hope.
believed spiritually and
Yep,
now we go,
yep.
oh shit, we were just able to create that. So what does that then mean?
Well, I think that's kind of where this, ethical quandary comes from, is this idea that, God is the only person that can create life, which is bullshit, right? I mean, like, in
Well,
the
whatever
end,
it is you call God, right? Because
Sure.
that's why I said magic earlier. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. There is some magic that
Sure.
we can't explain that creates life and creates this consciousness that we know, right? It's magic. And if you call that God, then that's what you call it. People call it all sorts of different
Yeah.
names. But
Yeah.
it's magic that cannot be explained.
I use the GAWD version of God.
Oh
when I
my
say
God.
God. It's not God, it's God. There's a distinction to be to be made there for sure. My version's a little different from yours.
But that is kind of that spiritual side that's kept a lot of people in check, is that accountability to that unknown magic of we can't explain what happens, we can't explain where we go sort of thing, right? But then all of a sudden we can make that. So that's like, well, shit. Okay, what's your soul or your animus or whatever it is that you hold yourself spiritually accountable to? What does that mean if you can just create it?
I mean, I look forward to joining the cult of the Woolly Mammoth. I mean, that'll be
Oh yeah, I'll definitely
right.
follow that.
Worship
call. That sounds
the
great.
mammoth as it walks down the tundra. It'll be awesome. Right? Like, it'd
I
be
want to
like,
sign up as like the person that brushes it.
yeah, exactly, right? It'll be like the Grateful Dead, where you just have these people that just follow the mammoth, right? Like,
I'm a woolite.
yeah, exactly, right? Like, yeah.
I think that's laundry detergent, but whatever.
I'm a woolly. Yeah,
I'm a woolly.
I'm a woolly. Just, yeah, that's it, right? Like, we got a bunch of woolies coming. Oh God, not the woolies again. The woolies ruin everything. God, it's all just mammoths everywhere. What about the frogs? Come on, turning them gay with the, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and I hope that we can use it ethically, but.
Well, it's the thing with a lot of stuff going on right now. There's, the potential, we can all look at the negative side of it and go, we're all going to die and we're going to blow up the world, right? But the thing is, we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't know until shit happens, and we're developing at such a rapid pace that it's like, it seems scary. It seems, there is, of course, potential for misuse and nefarious reasons for sure. But there's also the potential for it to actually make us better.
And this is what I hope of all science, right? That in the end, that sometimes there may be the occasional, oh, did that really just wipe him off the? Oh, okay, that was right.
Whoops, okay, let's
Oops,
make note of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Vaporized him completely. Okay, don't do that one. Okay, right. But in the end, that the the data that we gained from his vaporization is useful for us in a way, in terms of hopefully the next person will be only mostly vaporized. I go back to my far in my past, to the days of the old tape, copies of things where you would make a mixtape, and if you had like a copy of a copy of a copy of something, the quality would just degrade as you'd go, right? So you'd eventually get this and it would just, and I'm just wondering about, if we're splicing these pieces together, like, is it an actual copy of, or is this our best approximation? And right, like, yeah, the experiment will be interesting to see.
It will be. Yeah. Very interesting.
I just want to see the pictures of a baby woolly mammoth. I'm absolutely invested in this now, and I definitely desperately need to see that, because that will just be, very cute. Very cute. Let's leave it there. I think that's...
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think.
Pictures of putting baby woolly mammoths just playing around with each other. Oh, it's going to be so cute.
If you're artistic in any way, give us a rendering of what you think a baby woolly mammoth is going to look like.
I'm sure most of you have, or some of you have costumes of woolly mammoths for your dogs or cats that you've made for them. I'm sure there's got to be something out there. Somebody's got a woolly mammoth costume.
Someone's got a woolly fetish.
Right. Some Halloween costume they made for their dog. Like, it's out there. Find it. And just send it to us, because it'd be great.
But let us know what you think on this. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea?
Or an elephant with a rug on it? Yeah, there we go.
What sort of questions does this raise for you? We are interested to know. So please leave us a comment below. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff.
Everywhere. And soon to be more.
We will be there.
We are building. We're building.
Take me there. Soon we'll have a woolly mammoth running inside.
Not great as an assistant, but...
It's pretty clumsy.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But I mean, when people walk into the reception area...
Well, thanks again for joining us, everyone. Stay tuned for more woolly mammoths.
Have the best one.
See you soon.